Hello and welcome to this segment that we are calling Emotional and Mental Wellness Series. My name is Dr. STEM, and if this is your first time listening to any of these empowering and inspiring audios, I want to invite you to prescribe to this channel, also like and share. This way, anytime that I do a recording or a presentation, you will be notified to come back to YouTube and listen to that presentation or a recording. Today, I want to talk about building resilience. This is how to discover how you can respond effectively to difficult situations in your life. When traumatic events like this pandemic, this has been a traumatic event that definitely has caused trauma, whether we are seeing it now, but definitely in the long run, we are going to see the trauma that the pandemic has, impacted on people coming out in the days to come and years to come. But when events like this happen, many people react with a flood of strong emotions. Our resilience is what guides us, or our emotional and behavioral reactions, to be able to deal with or to endure the life-changing situations that come up with events like this. So, what is resilience, you might be asking? Resilience is the ability to bounce back. It's that ability that helps us to adapt well in the face of adversity, in the face of trauma, of tragedy, or even significant, stress that we might be enduring, such as, family relationship problems, serious health problems, workplace, financial stressors, business stressors that we might be going through. That ability to bounce back, to be able to deal with, is called resilience. Being resilient does not mean that a person doesn't experience difficult time or distress. Emotional pain and sadness are common in many of us. In fact, we all endure emotional pain and sadness at some point or another in our lives. So, in fact, the road to resilience is likely to involve considerable changes in people, where they'll have to build an ability to deal with those different situations in different ways, because then sometimes the way that you deal with one situation might not be, the same way that you can deal with the other situation that happens in your life. And that's why we have to talk about building resilience that lasts, that you also can tap into when you get to those moments in life where you really need your own strength, your deeper inner strength, when you need it. There are multiple factors that contribute to building resilience. In fact, studies show that the main factor in resilience is having a supportive and nurturing, relationships, whether it's family members or even friends or non-relatives that could be, supportive. Trusting and loving relationships, are said to always, maybe most likely, offer encouragement and comfort that is helpful. I'll tell you, during this pandemic and even before that, my mother is living here in the United States. I am originally from Zimbabwe and I'm living in the United States, and my mother is living here as well. And one of the things that I have found is, even us as her children and family, we haven't even been as great a support system as she has found from friends that she found on an online prayer line. So she has this prayer line from people that are from Zimbabwe, where I'm from, that pray with her online. They do that every day, 7 days a week. They are online on the telephone and talking to each other and praying together and preaching to each other. They have, they take turns actually, preaching and coming up with the gospel and everything. And it started years ago. One, pastor started it, and now they have different, prayer lines that are there. So you never know where you can find your resilience and build that resilience. And, I just mentioned that because it's just one of those those things that I've noticed that, you know what, it does help to find other people that can be, around you, that you can surround yourself with, that are positive, but they will help you discover coping skills within yourself that you probably never even knew that you had. In addition, there are also additional factors that can help with building resilience, the ability to make realistic plans and take steps to carry them out. That is, a good step towards resilience. It builds your confidence. Also, when you take some steps towards doing some other things, problem solving, communication skills, even finding other things that you can do outside of what you are used to, that helps build resilience. So you might be asking, okay, so what steps, can I take to build my resilience, since I'm in this space where I don't have the energy, I don't have the courage, and I just don't know what to do? What we have to remember is that we are all unique individuals. Not all people will react to the same, the same way to this trauma. You have seen that with this pandemic, right? Some people, many people, we have grieved and lost loved ones. We have been sick, and some have even been hospitalized and come out not the same way during the pandemic. But on the other hand, we also have seen people thriving and doing things that they never thought that they could do. And, it just gave them enough strength to say, you know what? I might as well get out of my comfort zone and do something different. So my question to you is, are you one of those people that found themselves hopeless, helpless, and not knowing what to do? Or are you one of those people that found themselves even in that hopelessness and said, you know what, I am not going to stay in this space. I will do and find something that will get me out of this space and make sure that I take hold of my life. Because we are seeing that there are many people that have gone beyond their fears and they're doing amazing things. So with that, here are some ways that can help build your resilience. Self-care. Ask yourself, what makes me feel good? Whatever that comes up, do that. Spending time with yourself, spending time with friends and family or loved ones, enjoying a hobby. When was the last time you read? When was the last time you just took a ride just to drive around and seeing some neighborhoods and just being in your car by yourself and just reflecting on being alive? Maybe you like exercising, getting a massage, or maybe meditation might just do it for you, where you just have some quiet time. I love bubble baths where I just sit in the tub and I have my candle and I just relax. I love having that moment to myself where I'm just so relaxed. I love being by the ocean. I live in Orlando, Florida. I love being by the ocean. I'm always driving there and just sitting there and just looking at the waters, the blue waters. Somehow it calms me down. So make sure you increase your self-care in these times of stress. Good relationships and healthy connections also help build resilience. Help and support from close family members, as we said, are very important. It's important that you also lean to family members and friends who are, helpful to you, who care about you, who would listen to you and strengthen your resilience. Being active in local faith-based or civic groups can provide support. Now, even online, as I mentioned about my mother, you can go online and find, faith-based, services, or even other groups and, programs that you can join together with like people, like minds, or even those that are doing something that you would want to do. Stressful situations are also a part of life. Because then even before the pandemic, let's face it, life was happening. We were losing people were getting divorced, people were getting sick, life was happening. So the minute that we remember that stressful situations are a part of life, it helps us build resilience and also the courage to be able to handle and make the changes that we need to make when we are faced with difficult situations or difficult times. Realizing that change is a part of life also helps build resilience. Nothing stays the same, let's face it. So this can be a good thing. And sometimes it's very hard to accept when things change in our lives. If you're having a hard time, know that it will not last forever. Nothing lasts forever. And let me just remember, I think the Bible says joy comes in the morning. It means it won't be dark for the rest of our lives. Neither is it light for the rest of our lives. There are seasons that we have to go through. And knowing that, will help us not to stay way too long in a season that we are not happy, we are not enduring, and things are not well. We will figure out and find ways to be able to move out of that season, having learned something about ourselves, having strengthened something about ourselves, because it always happens that in every season, there's something in that season that helps us to become better versions of ourselves. It's also helpful to develop what I call realistic goals. Set professional and personal goals, and then break them down step by step and follow those steps. Make a commitment to do something towards each goal that you set up. If goal setting is not your thing or you haven't done it in a long time, don't worry, because at the end of this, I will share with you some information that might be helpful to help you set realistic goals and be able to have the support that you need. Many people who have experienced tragedies and hardships have also reported that better relationships, have helped them to be able to talk to someone, to be able to transition during those tragedies and hardships. And they've also been able to develop spiritually and appreciated the difficulties and the tragedies in the long run when they realize how much strength and stronger that they have been having gone through those tragedies and hardships. And I'm not saying it's a good thing for us to go through that. But like I said before, we cannot escape it. It's going to come. It's not always going to be rosy, neither is it always going to be good. Those difficult times and difficult moments will come in our lives. And how we choose to deal with them is going to be the difference between building resiliency and being able to deal with the situation in a way that is, as helpful as you can, because then it will still be painful. I don't want to lie to you. It will still be painful. The pain will still be there, but it will become a lighter burden when we develop resiliency. Your ability to solve problems and trust your instincts will also help with building resiliency. I'm always encouraging. So my work, again, if this is your first time listening to me, my work is a life coach. I'm also a therapist, a counselor. So I'm big on writing things down. I'm big on encouraging people to please get a journal and just write it down. So when it comes to developing confidence, you want to write about your deepest thoughts and feelings. When you're dealing with difficult situations, write what you're feeling, write what your thoughts are, and write those stressful events that you're going through. What are you feeling? What's going on with you? What are you thinking about? What are the emotions? Pour it down on paper. And then another way of building resilience is become an optimistic person. which means you become a person that expects good things to happen in your life most of the time. Try and see good in everyone and in every situation. As difficult as it is, it's going to be helpful to you, and it's also beneficial for you and for your growth, as well as building resiliency. When you look for good, good happens all the time. So I want to encourage you to try visualizing what you want rather than worrying about what you fear. Ooh, let me say that again. Try visualizing what you want rather than worrying about what you fear. When building resiliency, I was going to say, resistance, resiliency, right? It really helps to look towards those things that you want in life. It helps to look towards each day becoming a day either you learn and live, or you can choose to look at the difficult that that day brought to you. And when you focus on the difficulties, guess what? They expand. You see more difficulties in that day. So I wake up in the morning and my prayer is always for my heart, my soul to open up to the lessons that I'm supposed to learn in that day. I'm open to the divine interventions and the divine connections that that day brings to me each and every day. And I hope that that will be your intention as well as your prayer, to be able to be open to what the day brings to you. I believe that experience is the best teacher. By exploring answers to the following questions about yourself and your reactions to challenging life events, maybe you too can discover how you can begin to respond effectively to difficult situations in your life. So as I said, grab a journal and then ask yourself these questions and answer the responses as they come to you. The first question is, what kinds of events have been most stressful for me? What kinds of events have been most stressful for me? And then ask yourself, how have these events affected me? How have these events affected me? I also want you to ask yourself, to whom have I reached out for support in working through my traumatic and stressful experiences? To whom have I reached out for support in working through my traumatic and stressful experiences? What have I learned about myself and my interaction with other people during difficult times? What have I learned about myself, my interactions with other people during difficult times? Have I been able to overcome obstacles? And if so, how did I do that? Have I been able to overcome obstacles? And if so, how did I do that? What do I currently need? What do I currently need? And lastly, if I were to wake up tomorrow and my life was exactly the way that I would want it to be, what would it look like? If I were to wake up tomorrow and my life was exactly as I would want it to be, what would it look like? And you can always rewind and have these questions and ask these questions, over again and answer them. So when building resiliency, the key is to identify ways that are likely to work well for you as part of your own personal, professional growth strategy. I want to remind you to please like, share, and follow this channel so that we can notify you of any more tips. And we're going to have more tips because I'm very excited to be, doing these things here. I always love to inspire, encourage, and motivate. So if this is one way that I can do it, I'm glad to do this on an ongoing basis. Remember at the beginning, I said, listen in at the end and see how we can help. If you haven't visited the Empowerment Academy, this is exactly why we build it, to support, to be able to bring together those people that are in their phase of life where they are transitioning and they want to evolve and, build a life that they can be joyful about, and they can do things that they love, whether it's being in relationships, at work, building businesses that work, but they're ready to transition and transform and evolve into the best versions of themselves. We help with the setting of the goals. We work together in group coaching sessions that we do weekly. You also have an opportunity to have sessions with me and any of the coaches that we have in the Empowerment Academy that can work with you one-on-one so that you can achieve and set achievable goals for yourself. Growth is there for all of us. And whatever your heart desires is available to you. And yes, you can and you will achieve all that and some more. So visit the website at www.drstemi.com. I will also put the website link right underneath this video. Stay safe. And again, this is Dr. Stem. Be encouraged.